What's up, Raider Nation? Welcome to True Raider Podcast. I am your host, True Raider. Now, today, the rookies are officially in the building. That's right. I'm saying the rookies are officially in the building for training camp. And that gets me excited because that tells me that just around the corner, we're going to actually be talking about real football instead of all of this theoretical offseason shit that I don't like to talk about. just to be straight up. Just to be straight up. So I want to go ahead and do a quick overview of just talking about our rookies, and then I want to jump into my 53-man roster projection. Hope you stick around for that one. If you have not yet, please hit that like button and definitely hit that subscribe button on YouTube right now. I am at 998 subscribers. I'm hoping to meet the goal of 1,000 subs today. If you could please help me out with that, greatly appreciated. Definitely greatly appreciated. So we're gonna go ahead and jump right into this, man. Real quick. I'm hitting the wrong buttons already. It's gonna be one of those type of days. So our rookies, man. I mean, our draft class looked pretty good, right? I'm not gonna lie. This is one of the my favorite draft classes that I can ever remember at all, right? I mean, it just so much. There was the flashy names, there was the solid names, there's the sneaky pickups, and for those of you on TikTok that can't see the screen that I'm sharing, we got Ashton Genty running back, Jack Beck wide receiver. We got Darian Porter wide receiver. Wide receiver turned corner. We got Caleb Rogers guard. We got Charles Grant tackle. Those Darian Porter, Caleb Rogers, and Charles Grant were all in the third round. Dante Thornton Jr. wide receiver out of Tennessee in the fourth round. And we got Tonka Hemingway, round 4. We got J.J. Pegues, round 4. Both of them are defensive tackles. Then we drafted 2 QBs, but one of them's listed as a wide receiver, and that's Tommy Malott in the 6th round, listed as a wide receiver. And then we got Cam Miller out of North Dakota State, wide receiver, and then Cody Lindenberg, linebacker, in the 7th round. So I want to go ahead and pull them up individually, and let's go ahead and talk about it, man. So, we're going to start in round 1. Just it is what it is. And that's running back Ashton Genty. And if you haven't heard just a shit ton about Ashton Genty over the last couple of months and you've been living under a rock or just straight up avoiding football content at all during the offseason, which I don't blame you. So Ashton Genty was drafted number 6 overall. He was the Heisman runner-up, 5'8", 211 pounds, just bowling ball of a running back. A lot of people want to knock him for being 5'8", saying, "Oh, he's too small." He is not small. He is short. And Barry Sanders was 5'9", so I'm not even worried about it. Not even worried. So over the last couple of years, his production has grown and grown and grown, right? 2022, he had 821 yards rushing, averaging 5.3 with 7 touchdowns. 2023, he had 1,347 yards rushing, 6.1 per carry with 14 touchdowns. And then last year, just huge breakout year, 374 carries, 2,601 yards, averaging 7.0 per carry and 29 touchdowns. And he is not just a rusher. The dude had 1,900 yards after contact, right? Which is more than he had without contact. And 1,900 yards is more than any other running back had, period. And he had that after contact. This dude can bounce off of defenders like it looks weird, man. Honestly, if you watch his tape, it looks like really weird the way he's just able to bounce off of defenders and just keep going, keep moving, man. It it looks like a glitch, is what it looks like to me, honestly. But the dude is definitely a huge threat in the receiving game. He only had 138 yards last year receiving, averaging 6 yards and one touchdown. But the year before that, he had 43 receptions for 569 yards, 13 on average with 5 touchdowns. So he's definitely a threat when it comes to the run, but also a threat when it comes to the passing game. He can do short passes, he can do long passes. The dude is just an all around threat, and straight up, he's going to make Geno Smith look better. He's going to make our offensive line look better. He's going to make our receivers and our tight ends look better. He is absolutely going to make everybody on this team look better. No doubts about it. Let's go ahead and go into round two. And in round two, we traded back a couple of times, right? Yeah, Alec, Emmett Smith, 5'9", was amazing, right? Billy Davis in the building, one of the moderators, was good, man. Good to see you guys in the building. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up Jack Besh. And Jack Besh, there's a whole thing about, oh, well, these second rounders haven't signed and Jack Besh hasn't signed. I'm not even worried about it, right? I was watching, I forget who I was watching, and they were talking about, oh, it was Sanji T and Graphic Raider, right? And they were talking about like the the rookie contract is going to look like for Jack Besh, and over 4 years it's supposed to be like 7 point some million, and it's just like I get it that they don't want to set the precedent for second rounders getting fully guaranteed contracts, but like 7 million in the NFL over 4 years is like peanuts. Like, let's get a deal done. Let's get this dude signed. I'm honestly not worried about it. It's gonna come through. But Jack Besh, 6'1", 214 pounds. This guy, like, really, when he's out there, I feel like he looks like a tight end. He's a big, rough dude. Um, and I honestly, I'm happy with the pickup. If you look at his stats, he was at LSU and then he went to TCU, and he didn't have like a ton of production. He had some other stuff going on, um, and so his yardage was really, really down until 2024, which is some people's argument about like, well, really him being drafted in the second round, like it's kind of like weird, right? But he had 62 receptions for 1,034 yards, 16.7 per catch with 9 touchdowns. And, as most of you probably know, his brother died in the New Orleans terrorist attack where the dude like went with his truck and he ran over a bunch of pedestrians and stuff. And he's really, really like dedicated a lot of his football career to his brother, and he played amazing. He led the Senior Bowl, and just really just I think that's where he really solidified his position in the draft. And the Raiders took a flyer on him, and I think that he's the kind of guy that has the work ethic and the attitude that the Raiders are looking for. And his name hasn't been popping up as much during OTAs and just the off season in general. Like, he hasn't been the super standout dude, but I do believe that this guy is going to be a solid receiver for us. I don't see him having like 1,000-yard year, but I do see him being a guy that we can be very, very happy that he's on our squad. I am personally happy about this pickup. Let's go ahead and move over to our third pick. So our third pick, let me see real quick. And I like a dude that's like fully motivated and bought in. Like, I want somebody that's gonna come in and work their ass off when they get here, man. All right. So our third pick, Darian Porter. This is wide receiver turned cornerback, right? And a lot of people like to talk trash about a wide receiver turned cornerback, but to me, that tells me the guy can catch, right? Because not all corners can catch. A lot of them are just really good at coverage, deflecting the ball, breaking up passes. not so much at catching, right? We want somebody that can actually come down with the ball. But he is 6'2", 195 pounds, and very fast, and very eager and coachable. Right, I really like those things about him. Now we're gonna see if he ends up being a true tackler, but he had 18 total tackles, 12 solo, um, two passes defense last year, no sacks, three interceptions. Um, there's a lot of good reports coming out about this dude, man, and I'm really happy about this pickup. I think that because he was during OTAs and stuff, he was out there with the ones, right? And I think that counts for a whole lot. Jacorian Bennett was out there with the twos, and I don't think it's that he really is gonna beat out Jacorian Bennett, although he could. I think that Jacorian Bennett, he did have that shoulder injury last year, and I think that they're kind of giving him a slower start. And I like the idea of, throwing this guy in with the ones. I don't think it's just random. I think that he is a very skilled player, and I think that we're going to be able to see a lot of good coaching up from Pete Carroll and Patrick Graham. Pete Carroll, he's not one to bring in those big name corners. He's one to bring his young corners up in the game to being big names, right? And I like the idea of this. His measurables are all there. Very, very happy about this pickable as well. And I'm probably going to say that about almost every pickup. I don't think that there was ever a moment where I was like, man, uh, I'm really upset about this pickup. What are we doing? I don't remember feeling like that in the draft, not even once. So these next guys, man, what is going on with my thing, bro? So we had three picks in the third round, right? And we had these back-to-back pickups, and we had Caleb Rogers, right? Caleb Rogers. I don't pull up stats for offensive linemen, but when I googled what's his blocking grade, right? Google says he stands out as a pass blocker, posting a 77.3 PFF grade. Rogers is quick with his hands and is well balanced throughout the play. He's an efficient blocker on play actions, allowing just one pressure and a QB hit on 130 plays. Um, right now, I don't know that Rogers is going to be getting into a starting role. I do believe that he's going to give competition for that starting. I think that we're going to move Dylan Parham over to the and Oscar. I already talked about Jack Besh, so we're going to move uh, Parham over to the left guard, and then I think that right guard it's going to be either Alex Kappa or Caleb Rogers, or there's even talks about Thayer Mumford even being moved into guard, which I don't know if that's going to be true or not. But that's really where I think there's going to be competition on this offensive line is at the right guard position. And if nothing else, he provides some very solid depth, which we really, really need on this offensive line. A lot of people talk trash about our offensive line, but it's really actually a pretty decent offensive line. I am not upset about our offensive line at all. All right, so if we are go ahead and move on to our very next pick in the draft, right? They were back to back. And this is Charles Grant, offensive tackle from William and Mary. He received high blocking grades from PFF in both run and pass blocking. He earned a 91.0 PFF overall grade in the red zone with an 87.9 pass blocking grade and an 89.9 run blocking grade in that area. According to PFF, in the CAA, he was a dominant run blocker, ranking among the top three in the nation for run blocking grade. He also received a 91.2 offensive grade from PFF in 2024. And there's talks about the whole thing with Colton Miller's contract and how Colton Miller hasn't, gotten an updated contract because he doesn't have guaranteed money anymore. And there's been a pretty big debate on does this have something to do with Charles Grant? And they're thinking that maybe Charles Grant's going to go ahead and take over at left tackle for Colton Miller after this season. more will be revealed when it comes to that. But according to this and everything else I'm hearing about Charles Grant, this was a phenomenal pickup for the Raiders, especially if he ends up being a depth piece. Uh, Holy shit, man. You have one of your tackles go down, and then you can bring in somebody like this as a backup. That's that's good value to me. He was picked up in the third round, man. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next one. This one I really, 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 really like, and that's Dante Thornton Jr., wide receiver. He was selected in the fourth round, 6'5", 205 pounds, and he runs a 4.3 40-yard dash. Right, the dude came out of Tennessee, and he was on limited routes in Tennessee, and there's a whole lot of speculation right now that that has a big part to do with why he was selected in the fourth round, because that that basically scouts and stuff didn't really actually look back into his Oregon tape and see how dynamic of a route runner he is. The interviews I've seen with him, I love the way he talks, man. This last year, he had 26 receptions, 661 yards, averaging 25.4 per catch with 6 touchdowns. If you look at his Oregon tape, the dude can run all kinds of routes. I definitely like when I see him doing a slant. If he cuts across and that safety is not in position, he is gone, gone. Um, I think that this dude, honestly, is probably going to develop to be a solid receiver for us. And I mean, I don't want to go too far with it, but I think he's going to turn out to be one of our better weapons. I really think that this is a sleeper pickup, a steal in the fourth round, and I think he's going to prove a lot of people wrong that passed up on him. All right, and moving on to Tonka Hemingway. So Tonka Hemingway, defensive tackle. He's 6'2", 284 pounds, out of South Carolina, and this dude, he doesn't have huge flashy stats, right? We're talking fourth round, okay? Which, mind you, Max Crosby was selected in the fourth round, so don't count anybody out. Um, Seems to be a very solid tackler. He had 4 sacks, 1 pass defense, 1 forced fumble. Um, Honestly, I haven't heard a ton except for the fact that this dude is very tough and he works very hard. I like the way that that sounds, but honestly, I'd be lying to you if I said that I knew a whole lot about Tonka, because I don't, right? That's just where we're at. But I do like that we have depth over here at defensive tackle, especially with Christian Wilkins being out. I did hear a rumor that Hondo Carpenter was talking about that Christian Wilkins had already gotten the second surgery, uh, and that's why he's been in a boot. But I don't have anything confirmed or nothing, just the rumor. And that we were talking about that actually last week. Of like, if that's what happened, then there could be a possibility that Christian Wilkins is ready to go early in the season, which I really hope that that's what's happening. I hope that that's why he was in the boot. It just bothers me that the Raiders haven't come out and officially said anything, and neither has Christian Wilkins, right? But definitely a good pickup over here. And then the next pickup, we're going in the same route, right? We went with another defensive tackle, providing more depth to this position. And this is JJ Pegues. He's 6'2", 309 pounds from Ole Miss. Now the dude, he 3.5 sacks, definitely a good tackler, good run stopper, but he also offers a rushing game. He does double as a running back, right? He had 7 touchdowns for 69 yards, averaging 3.3 per carry. He had 21 carries. If you do the math, he's out of his carries, he scores a touchdown a third of the time. The dude is huge. I wouldn't want to tackle him. That's for damn sure. So I'm really interested to see what Chip Kelly is going to do with JJ Pegues in his offense and what that's going to look like. But I mean, versatility is absolutely amazing with this guy. And I mean, we're talking like as we move down the draft, there's just continuously good pickup after good pickup, and that's wild to me, man. That is super wild to me. That's I'm not used to that. I don't know how to react to that. So this is where things got weird for me, right? Is we drafted Tommy Malott, right? Wide receiver, Montana State, 5'11", 200 pounds. But if you look at his stats, 2,783 yards passing with 31 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Why did we draft a quarterback at wide receiver? Now, I don't really know what their plan is with Tommy Malott, but he is going into the NFL as a wide receiver. He did have 123 carries for 1,050 yards rushing with an average of 8.5 a carry with 15 touchdowns. And this has been pretty consistent for him. The 2023 he had 690 yards with 5 touchdowns. The year before that, 1,061 yards with 13 touchdowns. And then the year before that, 716 yards with 10 touchdowns. So I don't know how they're going to utilize him, what this is going to look like. This dude is going to make the roster. Receiving, drafted as a wide receiver, he had no receptions last year, 1 reception for 12 yards the year before, and then 2 receptions the year before that for 8 yards and 1 touchdown. So, like, I don't know, man. That's wild to me. But the dude is just an all-out athlete, and in the 6th round, yeah, bring him on. I'm all about that. Definitely all about that. I agree with you that I would have preferred to take a swing on a good 4th round linebacker instead of Tonka, but they might prove us wrong. They really might prove us wrong, and I'm hoping that that's the case. We did pick up some really good linebackers in free agency, so I'm happy about that. Once we got Jermaine Pratt, I was like, okay, I can stop bitching about the linebackers. But yeah, I just want to put in a reminder, if you have not already, please hit that like button. Please hit that sub. We're pushing for 1,000 subs tonight. We started this stream with 998. So please help me out with that, man. I appreciate it. All right, we're going to go right into the next one. Cam Miller, quarterback. We drafted 2 quarterbacks in the 6th round. Out of North Dakota State, 6'1", 215 pounds. I just had the realization that none of these guys were born with a 19 at the beginning of their birth date. So none of them from the 1900s makes me feel old. All right, so I know he is playing in smaller division, right? But this dude's got 3,251 passing yards, completion percentage of 73.5, averaging 9.3 with 33 touchdowns to 4 interceptions, long of 74. Huge rating, 180.1 rating, which is wild, man. The dude is also quick. He's mobile. 145 carries rushing for 631 yards. Over the last 3 seasons, he definitely got over 500 yards every season rushing, and also double-digit touchdowns rushing. So the dude is mobile. We did let go of quarterback Carter Bradley. So right now, um, there's a debate on if he's coming for Aiden O'Connell's job. Rumor has it that Tom Brady really, really likes this guy, and this is a Tom Brady pick. I don't know if Tom Brady is like, that he was selected in the 6th round, so Cam Miller in the 6th. I don't know. But that is what I heard, is that it was a Tom Brady pickup. So um, I'm pretty happy with that, especially in the 6th round. I'd like to see what he could develop into. Honestly, I think that he would sit as quarterback number 3 this year. And obviously, Geno Smith is the number 1, and Aiden O'Connell he's a really good backup quarterback. So I think that we're going to stick with that. And then last on our rookie list is linebacker Cody Lindenberg, 6'2", 236 pounds, out of Minnesota. The dude had 94 total tackles last year, 45 solo, 6 passes defense, 1 sack, 1 interception. I don't know a ton about him. I'm hearing a lot of things out of camp that he's definitely like a lock for the roster. I'm not sure about that, but could be, could be. So, speaking of our roster, I want to go ahead and talk about our projected 53-man roster, man. Yeah, Chewy, I'm not I'm not too mad about our linebacker room right now, but would I have rather we made some other moves? Yes. Would I have rather we had kept Spillane instead of some of the pick? Yes. But I think that, you know, they made really good moves with the situation that arose when it came to that, and I'm not gonna be mad, bro. Not gonna be mad about it. Alec Lindenberg can play this game. Former Big Ten linebacker, how well he does in camp remains to be seen. And there's really no reports out now. I think that the Behind the Shield is going to come out in like 30 minutes. So I'm definitely interested to see that and see, what they're talking about. Because really, I was looking, man, and I couldn't find any kind of updates about what's going on today, who showed up, who didn't show up, like nothing, absolutely nothing. So let's go ahead and get into this 53-man roster, man. I'm very interested in seeing how close I am on this, or if I'm just kind of way off, man. But this is true Raiders projected 53-man roster. We'll see how it goes, man. I had the opportunity to kind of put together a little PowerPoint, and not gonna lie to you, it didn't take me very long, right? So in our quarterback room, it's a very much no brainer right now. We have 3 quarterbacks on the roster, unless you want to count Jacoby Myers and Tommy Malott. But people who are listed as quarterbacks, we have 3 of them, and that is Geno Smith, Aiden O'Connell, and Cam Miller. Now, I have these listed in number. They're not always going to, as we go through each position, it's not going to always match up to how I think they'll actually land on the roster. But I was numbering them 1 through 53, all right? So, Geno Smith, great pickup during the offseason. When I heard the news, I was not happy about it. I thought, what are we doing? Geno Smith, are you kidding me? And then I started watching his tape. I started looking into him because I didn't really know that much about him. I just knew that he started off his career with the Jets and basically was was a flop, right? He was a bust, and then all of a sudden he had a resurgence in his career under Pete Carroll uh, with the Seahawks, right? But as I looked into it, it's like this dude is actually really legit for what we need, right? Because right now we got a mobile quarterback who can extend plays. He's accurate, especially with the deep ball. He can get it done. He had an awful offensive line there in Seattle, and the Raiders have a way better offensive line, especially because we upped our running game with Ashton Genty. So really Ashton Genty is going to make it to where teams are going to have to try to stack the box. And then we got Dante Thornton Jr. and Trey Tucker going out deep for the deep ball with Geno Smith, who was, he was like the top quarterback for percentage on throws over 20 yards, right? So I'm really, really looking forward to seeing what this offense looks like with Geno Smith. And then, of course, we got Aiden O'Connell as our number two. He's a good, solid backup. He's not so mobile. I don't know that he really fits Chip Kelly's offense as well as Geno Smith does. But if Geno Smith goes down with an injury, I do have confidence that Aiden O'Connell can come in here and sling the ball and get it done. And then we got Cam Miller, who's like the Tom Brady project, who, let's face it, if he has to get in there and play, I think that he will do a decent job. He is coming from a smaller school, so there could be quite the learning curve for him. But I'm excited to see what Cam Miller can do. I think he has a decent ceiling, but he also has a low basement. So we'll see what that looks like. Next up, in our running back room. In our running back room, man, Alec, I'm glad too that we got Geno instead of Darnold, because I really thought we were going to end up with Sam Darnold. And even though he had a good year, I have a feeling that now he goes to the Seahawks, he's going to get exposed. But he could prove us all wrong. We'll see how this actually turns out. So next up is our running back room, right? In our running back room, it's kind of a no-brainer who our running back one is, and that's going to be Ashton Genty. Ashton Genty, we just talked about him, rookie running back drafted, number 6 overall. He's a wrecking ball of a 5'8" running back, and the dude can break tackles, get over 1,900 yards after contact rushing. He's also really good in the passing game. I'm so happy that we actually got him, because I honestly thought for a second that we might pass on him, and I was going to be really, really upset if we did that, man. And then our running back 2 is going to be Raheem Mostert. Now Raheem Mostert, he's older, right? I think he's 30, 31. He's coming over from the Dolphins, and he had what is considered to be a down year, right? But they just picked up A-Chain, right? And that dude was an absolutely phenomenal running back over there. And so, of course, Raheem Mostert kind of got less carries, and you give it to the hand that's hot, and I get that, right? But the year before that, he had I want to say it was 20, I think it was 23 overall touchdowns, most of them rushing, a couple of them receiving. And so definitely a red zone threat. We're going to do a running back by committee. Ashton Genty's obviously going to get the majority of the carries, but Raheem Mostert is definitely going to play his part. And then Sincere McCormick, I believe, is going to be our running back 3. He did have a good little spurt last year because our running game was atrocious. We couldn't figure out our running backs. And Sincere McCormick came in, balled out, got injured, and I think he earned that number 3 spot. And then I think that we're going to carry 4 running backs, right? And there's a debate. Is it going to be Dylan Laube, or is it going to be Zamir White? Chris Collier, I don't think he stands a chance. And, I weighed out, what does this look like? Zamir White has some use as being that run through you kind of back potentially, because he's so strong, right? He didn't do a great job of that, and he really flopped last year. He showed some good promise the year before at the end of the season. But then I thought about it, and J.J. Pegues would be a better short yardage back for those, goal line situations or trying to just get a first down situation. And Dylan Laube really offers a whole lot in the special teams game. So the way that I went with this is that I believe Dylan Laube is going to beat Zamir White for that running back 4 position. And I think that he's going to be battling with Sincere McCormick to try to climb up. So I think Zamir White is a goner, and that's just how I feel about it, man. What's good now, man? Salute, salute, one of the moderators. How you doing, man? Good to see you. Yeah, I think that Zamir definitely stands a good chance of getting cut. I think he's a goner, man. And then when we go into our wide receiver room, this is where I had a lot more trouble because I'm not really sure how many wide receivers we're really going to want to carry on this roster. And I wanted to definitely hold some while also being mindful that we do need to carry some depth in some other positions, right? And so when we go into the wide receiver, Jacoby Myers definitely making the cut, right? Um, he hasn't he hasn't gotten a new deal, but he's also like, I don't know, man. I don't think that we need to be in a rush to just hand him some huge deal. I think that he's going to take a team friendly deal, and I think he wants to be a Raider. I mean, he's made it very clear that he wants to be a Raider. And then we got second round pick Jack Besh, and we talked about him, but he's not signed yet. No, there's this weird run in the second round where they're not. They fully guaranteed these two guys that were drafted in the second round, and it just created this huge ripple effect. And Jack Besh's contract is only worth like 7 point some million over 4 years. I wouldn't mind if we gave him fully guaranteed, but I think that Spytech is really just trying to pause for a minute and see how this thing plays out. I'm not worried about anything. Jack Besh is going to be here. Uh, Amazing pickup. I think that the dude, he has heart. He's going to put in that effort. Happy to see it. Dante Thornton Jr. definitely making the roster. I think that he's taking the he's taking reps with the ones, right, in OTAs, and all the hype has been about Dante Thornton Jr. This and that and this and that. Not just his speed, but his route running and his effort and ethic. So Jack Besh has kind of gone on the back burner as we start talking about Dante Thornton Jr. And honestly, I'm here for it, man. He's the Al Davis pick, speedster, 4.3 40-yard dash. The dude it's just an amazing pickup, man. Definitely good. So then we move down to Trey Tucker. Now, Trey Tucker, um, there's a lot of hype about him this offseason. A lot of people are saying a lot of good things about him in the building, right? In the Raiders building. Trey Tucker is like, I guess he's like made this leap and really is expected to be utilized in Chip Kelly's offense as well as um, just other players saying really good things about him because he's kind of on a make it or break it year. Trey Tucker is not from this regime. He's not from last regime, right? He's from the Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler regime. And so he could easily be a cut candidate, especially with Dante Thornton Jr. being the new speedster. I mean, he's probably like a good 8 or 9 inches taller than Trey Tucker. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's quite that much, but it's close. And I guess Dante Thornton Jr. and Trey Tucker have gotten really, really close. And so they're not really looking at like, I'm trying to, push this guy out. It's like more of like, how can we complement each other? And I also forgot to mention that I guess there's a rumor, right? And it's because another content creator talked to Dylan Laube. But I guess Dylan Laube said that Chip Kelly has big plans for him in his system. I don't know what that's going to look like, but I'm very interested to see what Dylan Laube can do because even though he's undersized, he had some fumbling issues when he did get a chance last year. I don't think that we are utilizing him properly. And the way that everything was just kind of falling apart for our running game, I wouldn't take that and just judge him based on that. So I also have Tommy Malott as our 12th man to make the roster. Definitely athlete. The dude got drafted as a wide receiver, even though he's a quarterback in college. Definitely special teams value is going to be a big thing for him. And I just have him making the roster. And then I was looking, and the image, I had some formatting issues. Trey Tucker got cut off, and so did Alex Bachman. And I'm not really exactly sure who's going to make that last slot, whether it's Colin Johnson or Alex Bachman. But those are the ones that I kind of figured it was going to be one of the two. And Colin Johnson being 6'6", I don't really honestly know. So this is one of those spots where I hit where I'm like, I'm not so sure if that's what we do or not. Um, we might only keep 5 receivers because our tight end game is so strong, but we'll see how this ends up turning out, man. So our next position, tight end. This is definitely one of the position groups that I'm the most happy with. We got Brock Bowers. I mean, record-breaking season as a rookie, literally, and he was ranked as the number 1 tight end in the NFL after his rookie season. I mean, we don't even have, there's not really a whole lot to debate when it comes to Brock Bowers. Just the thought of Geno Smith having Ashton Jeanty and Brock Bowers with the receiving group that we have, it's almost disgusting. This is like a cheat code right here. I can't imagine a defense doing a good job of containing Ashton Jeanty and Brock Bowers the entire game without getting some deep bombs thrown on them to Dante Thornton Jr. and Jacoby Myers and Trey Tucker. I don't know, man. It's a little silly. Now, Michael Mayer is a guy that there was a lot of rumors that maybe he's not going to stick around. Maybe he wants out. Maybe the Raiders don't want him. He's from a different regime. We traded up in the second round to get him 2 years ago, and he just really hasn't panned out. He was missing for a good chunk of the season last year for personal reasons, and they never said what it was. I don't know if it's family stuff, if it's mental health stuff, or whatever it may be. But he came back, and he came back committed. And, I guess that really Chip Kelly has some big plans for Michael Mayer, which is not typical of Chip Kelly because he doesn't typically have a spot for a tight end like Michael Mayer. But in this case, he definitely does. And I'm here for it because Brock Bowers is more, I mean, I don't know if gadget player is really the way to talk about him, but he's got so many different, he can do the slot. He can line up on the outside. He can, catch in the backfield. He can be a true tight end. He can block. He can do all these things, right? But Michael Mayer is just straight up a true, tight end and a solid one at that. So, I mean, our tight end, we have the best tight end room in the NFL, period. And we can't really say that on paper because Michael Mayer has not really proven himself in the NFL, but I have a feeling that we're going to see a lot of good things out of him this year. And I have us holding 4 tight ends because of an interview where Michael Mayer was talking about that there's a lot of things where Chip Kelly plans on utilizing 2 and even 3 tight ends at a time. And so I think that we're going to hold on to a little bit of depth here. And so I had Ian Thomas, just a very, very large dude, and Justin Shorter as being our number 3 and number 4 tight ends. Let's go ahead and move on to this this offensive line, right? Because he was talking about 12 personnel and 13 personnel. But our offensive line, and, I couldn't fit everybody on the screen. I put our tackles here. One of the reasons for that is because I have every single guard, which is only 4 of them, but I have all of our guards making this roster, right? So we got Colton Miller, left tackle. He's going to be with us. He's going to be starting, right? He started off really rough last year. For the first 6 games, he was coming back from that shoulder surgery, but after those first 6 games, he really stepped it up, and he really started to play like the Colton Miller that we know and love, right? And then Dylan Parham, I believe, is going to get moved to left guard. I actually have a lot of confidence in him as long as he's not right next to Andre James, because Andre James was a liability at center. And so it made everybody else look worse. So we got Jackson Powers Johnson is going to be our starting center. No questions about that. I'm not worried about that. Caleb Rogers, the rookie, which I think he's going to be battling for that right guard position. And I said these aren't necessarily in order because I do believe that Alex Kappa, he had an awful year. He was actually the worst guard in the NFL last year with the Bengals, but the Bengals had an atrocious offensive line. And so, really, what it comes down to is that when he played on the Bucks, he did way way better. And I think that being in between Jackson Powers Johnson and DJ, I think that he would play a whole lot better. And I actually think that Alex Kappa might win that starting role. But then we also have Jordan Meredith, right? And Jordan Meredith had an amazing season last year, and he gets overlooked a lot. But I really have him making this roster because he did so well last year that why would we not want to keep him as a depth piece? And that puts us keeping a whole ton of offensive linemen, right? And then we got Charles Grant, rookie tackle, amazing grades, like a 90 point something. I was just reading it off by PFF. And I think that he's going to be the competition for the next tackle position, right? Which is probably Colton Miller's position, but we'll see how this plays out. And there, Mumford was a guy that I actually was not sure does he even make this roster. And I put him on here because there was talks about him potentially ending up at right guard. And if we put Thayer Mumford at right guard, I'm here for it, man. I actually think that he would excel at that position. I really do. Um, I had Laki Tassi in at 23, but then I put an asterisk next to him because he's the international pathways player, and I don't think that they count against the 53 still. I've heard it both ways. I've heard rumors that now they do, and I've heard that they don't. So it's really, I mean, I'm pretty sure that they don't. And so when I moved him, I was debating putting one another corner on, right? But I ended up landing on putting Will Putnam because he made the roster last year and he is the backup center. And really, Dylan Barnham can play center, but I don't really know if that's what they want to do with him. And then I also put slash Dalton Wagner because this is where I really, really struggled the most out of this whole 53 man was, Dalton Wagner is a mammoth of a man, but we really haven't proven that he's going to actually ever play, right? And if that's the case, Laki Tassi is now our new mammoth of a man, and they have him listed as offensive lineman slash defensive tackle. I'd be interested to see what actually happens with this dude. He's a rugby player from Australia, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the dude is just an absolute beast and huge dude, man. It's crazy, bro. So we'll see how that ends up turning out. I don't know what's going on, man. It's raining over here and it's got my allergies acting up. So my nose is stuffing up on me, but I'm going to go ahead and grind through. Our next slide, man, is our special teams unit. This one, very simple. Who's going to make the cut? It's the only three people that we have, and that's Daniel Carlson, the kicker, AJ Cole, punter, the best punter, and Jacob Bobenmoyer, our long snapper. So we move on to defensive edge. And defensive edge, Max Crosby, of course. Love him. He's coming back healthy from that surgery, and he's our guy. I don't have to say too much about that, right? Malcolm Kuntz coming back from that injury. He was out all last season, which really upset me, man, because we were supposed to have the most stacked defensive line that I think I've ever seen on this Raiders roster. And then he went down with that injury, and then Christian Wilkins ended up injured week 5, and it turned into a shit show. Malcolm Kuntz is heavy. He signed a 1-year deal for $12 million, and I think that he's going to have an absolute great year. I think he had 8 sacks in the last 9 games of the season 2 years ago, and I really, really hope that he picks up where he left off. Then we have our former first round, 7th overall pick, Tyree Wilson. We should have got Jalen Carter. Still pissed about it. But I could see a world where Tyree Wilson, he has a good work ethic. A lot of people say a lot of good things. JT and the Brick, JT the Brick was just on Wasted Talent show yesterday. He was saying very good things about Tyree Wilson's work ethic, and I really hope that he makes a jump this year because if he does not, he's also from 2 regimes ago, and he's going to be a cut candidate. So he needs to move it or lose it, sister. It's funny, my 9-year-old says that. It's funny. Anyway, then we got Charles Snowden, right? And he's number 4 on the list. I'm actually upset that Charles Snowden is still on the roster after that DUI where they found him where his Jeep was high centered off of like he almost went down this little drop off in Las Vegas and he was like blacked out drunk. I'm really upset about that. I don't have a whole lot of compassion for DUIs. But then I made a video a couple weeks ago about like would Pete Carroll give and John Spicek give Henry Ruggs a chance after he gets out of prison. And I really thought about that, man. And it's like, you know what? They obviously didn't cut him for a reason. And I'm really hoping that he keeps his shit together. And then number 5, because I feel like we need to carry 5. I wasn't sure about Andre Carter or UDFA Jaw Joyner, right? And Jaw Joyner, I keep hearing his name. I keep hearing people talking well about him. I don't have any like firsthand information on Jaw Joyner, but I've heard a lot of good things lately, and so I put him as our 5th defensive edge rusher. All right, defensive tackle. Now, the defensive tackle is like a weird spot for me, man, because where we're at with this is Christian Wilkins is a huge question mark. He's definitely by far our best defensive tackle, but your best ability is your availability, right? And so when it comes to Christian Wilkins, there's a whole lot of question on he's wearing a boot. Does he need a second surgery? Did he already have a second surgery? Is he going to be out for the whole season? Is he going to be available week 1? Is he going to come in at the midway point? We don't know. And so it has me really worried. Then we got Adam Butler. Adam Butler is super awesome, had an amazing year last year. I'm super happy to have Adam Butler back. And then JJ Pegues, rookie defensive tackle / gigantic running back. He had several touchdowns. He's going to be a short yard threat in the offense, but he's also a good defensive tackle. Him and Tonka Hemingway are definitely, I think, depth pieces instead of starting pieces. And then, last year with the whole shuffle that was happening with our defensive line, Zach Carter and Jonah Lalu did show up in a good way. They did the best they could with what they had. And so we have some decent depth when it comes to our defensive tackle room. However, without Christian Wilkins in there, I'm a lot more worried. So I really hope that we get Christian Wilkins going because that could be our weak point, man. It really, really could. Linebacking room. So we were talking about our linebacking room earlier, right? Yeah, Jaw Joyner is a very hungry player, Alec. I do believe that. I do believe that. I mean, as a UDFA, like you got to be. If you come in as a UDFA and you're not like, putting maximum effort, then it's like, what are you doing? Do you want to get in or not? You got a chance, take it. So our linebacking room was looking very dismal after the loss of Robert Spillane. I'm glad Divine Diablo is gone because he was an absolute liability. But the replacement allegedly for Robert Spillane was Landon Roberts, and he came over from the Steelers. And I like what I see in this guy. I like how he talks. I like this, but I wasn't convinced with him and Devin White, who Devin White was a big name, but now he's looking to make a resurgence. But the addition of Jermaine Pratt, which I was really surprised that we picked up Jermaine Pratt because I didn't think that we were actually going to do it, but we actually did. I'm sorry, TikTok. I thought my phone was charging. It's about to die. I'm about to lose you guys, man. Salute to you. But we're going to continue on YouTube. So, right now, Jermaine Pratt, I think, is our best linebacker. Landon Roberts, I think they're 1 and 2. And then Devin White, doesn't have to take on that main role. And it can really put him in a position where he might be able to thrive with if Patrick Graham utilizes him correctly. But I really do think that Devin White is being put in a position to potentially succeed. And then we got Tommy Eichenberg, who hasn't gotten a lot of reps. He was a fourth round pick last year, and he was supposed to be like just like Robert Spillane. So let's see if he takes a step up this year. And then we got Amari Ferrari Gainer, who was a UDFA, just a solid, big, buff dude, right? Who had some really good reps last year. He ended up getting injured, and so we really didn't get to see as much of him as we would have liked. I would love to see him take a step up this year. And then we got Cody Lindenberg, drafted in the fourth round this year. Um, Alec was saying good things about him. I've heard some other good things about him. I really think that he's going to go ahead and make this roster. I don't think he's going to get used very much this year, but he could be a guy to look out for in the years to come. We're going to go to our cornerback room, which I think is our sketchiest room of all. And I only held 5 corners, and I'm not sure if maybe I should have done 6 because Mello Dotson, UDFA, I'm hearing good things about him. Um, and then Kai Blue Kelly is another guy that I'm like, well, maybe. And then, Sam Webb is Sam Webb. I don't know. He was injured, he was out, and I don't know if he's coming back. So right now I have us holding 5 cornerbacks. That's Jacorian Bennett, who I think is our number 1, even though he's been taking reps with the 2s. Is coming back from that shoulder injury. And then Darian Porter, third round pick this year, super solid wide receiver turned corner, 6'2", very fast. I'm happy to see it. Eric Stokes, Dante Thornton Jr. is saying that Eric Stokes can keep up with him in coverage. And so he was the guy that there was really high hopes for him, and then he had some injury stuff in Green Bay. And so there's some hopes that he could be a guy that kind of turns some things around this year. I'll believe it when I see it. Cameron Richardson was a rookie from last year. I can't remember what round we got him. I think he was a 6th-round pick. He's tall. He's fast. Fits Pete Carroll's thing. I think he's going to make this roster. Somebody, I forget who it was. It also might have been Dante Thornton Jr. Yeah, it was Dante Thornton Jr. that was saying good things about DCAM. So I'd like to see it. And then I think Darnay Holmes is projected to probably be the slot guy to replace Nate Hobbs. I don't know what that's going to look like or how much confidence to have in it, but I put him making this roster. Our safety room is another one I'm kind of worried about because we lost Marcus Epps, we lost Trayvon Merrick, and I liked both those guys. But Jeremy Chin, there's high expectations for him. Pete Carroll talks really good about him. Isaiah Paul-Mao has definitely took a big step up last year, and they're thinking that he can be that guy, and I hope that they're right. And then Lonnie Johnson Jr. is a guy that they brought in. He's like safety/corner. They're going to move him around. For all we know, he might end up getting that slot corner position. And then we got Trey Taylor. He won I want to say it's called the Jim Thorpe Award for like the best safety in college football. We picked him up in the late rounds last year, and then he was making fun of Patrick Mahomes with the little Kermit puppet, and then he got injured, and we didn't really see much of him after that. So I don't really know what that's going to look like, but he's supposed to be a solid player with really good work ethic. So I have him making the roster. And then last on the list, number 53 himself, and that is Thomas Harper. Now, I don't know if it's going to be Harper or Chris Smith. Now, Chris Smith is a guy that I really thought he came out of Georgia. I thought that he was going to actually get some play. He was drafted by Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler, but he really never got any play time, and he didn't last year either, and I actually don't know why. Maybe he's just not showing up proper. Maybe it's a skill issue. I'm not really sure. But I think it's going to be between Thomas Harper and Chris Smith for that last position on the roster. You guys, let me know what you think about this, man. I mean, you know, we'll see how this shakes out. I think that for the most part, my projection, I could see it mostly being correct. And I think that there's going to be a couple of surprises in there, honestly. So, really, man, I've been on for an hour. When I got home, my kid didn't know I was going live, and he was really excited because he wanted me to play with him. And I told him, "Look, man, I'm gonna do this live because I already committed to doing it." But I told him as soon as I get off, I'm gonna play with you, man. And so I'm gonna go do that. I love you, Nation. Thank you for sticking it out with me. To all you real ones. And actually, real quick before I actually get off, I want to pull up the let's pull up the numbers. Let's see if we hit it because we had 990 going into this live, and right now we still got 998. So share this out to your people. Tell them to sub up because True Raider is trying to hit 1,000. I love you, Nation. I really, really do, man. I really, truly do. I'm getting excited, and I'll be on soon. You guys will see me. Salute, Nation. I'm out.